9440.
4405.
944405. 05.
Welcome back, crime fighters, for another edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted, the program where you get to help make Calhoun County a better and safer place for all of us. I'm Chris Wright, along with John Garlick from the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office. Good to see you, John.
Good to see you, Chris, and everybody else. Good to be back on the show. I haven't been on in a while.
Yeah.
I miss it.
Well, we've heard your voice a few times, but
Have you?
haven't
Not
seen
in
you.
the last couple of weeks. I've been busy doing other things.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, one thing you've been busy doing, obviously, is voting. Got your
Voting.
sticker.
Oops, I hit that. That was vote. There you go. Today is election day. I think we're having a small turnout. By the time the show airs, I think we'll be done. But it's been a low turnout so far, and I don't think that's surprising.
And that's typical for the runoffs, and even the primaries are usually slower than the general election. And if it's not a presidential election cycle, then that slows things down as well. So not a lot of people expected at the polls today, which makes every vote that does show up, every voter that does show up, their voice is louder.
That's correct. And I really wish more people would vote. I mean, it's an important thing. But it's July, and everybody's doing it.
And let's talk about this. Today we've had some people for the first time turned away from trying to vote, and we want to make sure that everybody understands why that is happening. We had a new law that went into effect in Alabama last year. They passed this law that said that if you vote in a primary for either of the major political parties, that anybody can vote for any primary they want to, but if you vote in a Republican or Democratic primary, when the runoff comes around, you cannot then switch to vote in the other party's primary. And that's left some people out. In Calhoun County, there was no runoff for Democratic candidates, so people who voted in the Democratic primary are not eligible to vote today in the Republican
Which runs
runoff.
the attendance down, too. And there's a lot of states that do that. I know I grew up in Connecticut, and when you registered for a party, you actually registered, and when you went to vote, you were on the rolls as a Republican or a Democrat, and you couldn't switch. You couldn't ask for a different ballot. So some states do that, some states don't. Some states are changing.
There are reasons for that, and there will always be debates about those reasons. But that's what the law is, and as far as the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office is concerned, it's what's the law?
We enforce the law. We don't make law. If you don't like the law we're enforcing, there's legislators for that.
All right. Well, let's talk about what our viewers have done this past week.
Oh, yeah. Let's take a look. What do we got up there? How about that? 4 people arrested, 4,216 people brought to justice since we started this show. That's a lot of people.
It is.
And that's a lot of justice.
And that's a lot of money saved as well for the taxpayers from the Sheriff's Office being able to utilize that information instead of having to track everything down themselves.
Yep. It's the community comes together, and that's really a way to quantify the amount of community effort that goes into helping this be a safer place. And I applaud our yay for our guys and gals that are out there doing that for us.
All right. Well, we need to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have the first half of this week's lineup, and you'll find out why I'm wearing my Alabama tie on the show today here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. All right, let's get started with the lineup this week on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. David Hurd of Anniston is wanted for failure to pay for fraudulent use of a credit or debit card. Jessica Minton of Jacksonville is wanted for failure to pay on violation of a domestic violence protection order. Jessica Burcham of Anniston wanted for failure to pay for attempted identity theft. Terry Ann Brown of Anniston wanted on bond revocation for possession of a controlled substance and use and possession of drug paraphernalia. Vantrell Rowland of Anniston is wanted on bond revocation for possession of a controlled substance. And Michael Pitts of Jacksonville wanted on failure to pay for possession of marijuana second degree. If you have any information about these individuals and where they can be found, please call Calhoun County Crime Stoppers at 256-238-1414. They want your information, not your name, and you could get a cash reward of up to $1,000. More bad guys in a few minutes, John, but we're talking about good guys and bad guys on this show.
And your tie.
And my tie. Got my Alabama tie on here, and I promise to explain why that is.
Are you going to do that now?
I will.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got Dale Clem, who is senior pastor at Anderson First United Methodist Church.
Good to be here.
Yeah, and we specifically invited you on to talk about a special event that we've got coming up at the church here at the end of July, where we're not going to have anybody from the University of Alabama speaking, are we?
We are not. We have Reverend Chet Williams, who's the chaplain of the football team at Auburn University, will be here in Anniston speaking. He is a dynamic speaker. He's one of the most popular preachers in the state of Alabama, and we have some good preachers, so for him to be really popular, he's got to be good. But he's dynamic, and he's got lots of stories about how the Auburn football team comes together with their spirituality that really helps and informs them when they go out on the team. So when you see one of the football players score a touchdown and they drop to a knee, you know that Chet has been involved in helping train that young man in their spirituality.
Mm-hmm. And John, yeah, I am a member at Anniston First, and Dale, since I'm in the media, he likes to get me to help promote these special events that we have. Last year, he brought in a meteorologist from another TV station.
The real one.
The competition.
my competition at work. And here, can you help us promote that he's coming? And now, knowing that I'm a big Alabama fan this year, he says, "Hey, Chris, we're going to bring in the chaplain from the University of Auburn," or Auburn University, sorry. But
Well, you got to think the chaplain of Auburn's football team probably works really hard because people in crisis need more faith.
There you go. I like that. But no, I've got to represent for my school, but I am proud to help spread the word that Chet's coming. I've never met him personally, and I've never heard him speak, but I have heard wonderful things said about him, and I'm excited to hear what he has to say.
He's going to be great. And one of the things that we're not real proud of is that Sunday mornings are often the most segregated hour of the week. African Americans and Caucasians work together, we shop together, we do a lot of things, but a lot of times we don't worship together. And so this year, our church is really reaching out to the African American community, and of course Chet is African American, so we're hoping to actually worship together. And we hope that that's a part of healing for our city and our county.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that be nice? That would be nice.
And are we going to get a game of flag football going in during the service, or?
Well, we know flag football, but we're encouraging everybody just to wear your school colors, whether that's Jack State or Ohio State or Alabama.
Ohio State?
Or we have
Really?
we have Ohio State fans in our church.
We don't encourage that, do we?
You have a degree from JSU.
I do have a degree from JSU.
Okay, you can wear your JSU shirt then.
Yeah.
And maybe even some of us Duke people can wear our
That's fine.
shirts.
We're not worried about Duke.
Nobody from Yale, though. Huh?
All right. So what are we expecting on this? Is going to be Sunday, July 29th, right?
29th at 10:50, just right before 11 o'clock. We'll start, and we encourage people to come early and register in the narthex, the room you come into in beside the church, and you can register to win an autographed football by Coach Gus Malzahn. We'll be giving that away, and we'll be giving away some of Chet's books. He's an author. He's written 2 books, and we'll be giving some of those away, and there'll be opportunities for people to purchase books if they want to get them autographed.
So that's kind of like a raffle, huh?
It is kind of like a raffle,
That's
maybe.
interesting. The Episcopal Church has wine, and the Methodist Church gambles. I think that's awesome.
Well, we're all sinners,
Oh, yes, I know.
And sometimes we sin boldly, don't we?
Yes, I can speak personally.
Yeah, we certainly have sinners inside the church. There's no question about that. We also have Christians outside the church.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of people. If you ask them, you get into a conversation about religion, they'll say, "Yes, I'm a Christian." And you say, "Well, where do you go to church?" And then it breaks down, and they haven't been to church in a while. And this is a great opportunity for some people to come in that maybe haven't been attending a church recently for whatever reason. And there's no commitment. You're not joining the church by showing up on Sunday, but you can come in, you can experience the worship at Anniston First, and if you like it, maybe you come back again, but even if you don't, you've had that experience this one Sunday.
That's right, and you don't, sometimes people have barriers such as I don't want to dress up. I'm afraid what people will say. But on this Sunday, you can come dress any way you want to, with your T-shirt, with your Alabama shirt, with your Auburn shirt, or whatever. Everybody will be welcome. And we're also have some partners in sponsoring this service. New Life United Methodist Church and Haven United Methodist Church, two small African American churches, are partnering with us. So they'll be there. Their leadership will be involved. They'll be singing some, and so it should be great fun.
Awesome. We need to take a quick break. We will be back in just a second here with the second half of this week's lineup on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And here's the second half of this week's lineup on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. Cedric Weeks of Anniston wanted on child support failure to appear and child support non-payment. Whitney Kilgore of Wellington wanted for illegally obtaining water, electricity, and gas. Torian Harris of Anniston wanted on failure to pay for distribution of a controlled substance. Tyrone Martin of Anniston wanted on probation violation for possession of burglar's tools. Christina Sutton of Anniston wanted on a failure to appear warrant for promoting prison contraband. And Jaquita Green of Anniston wanted on a probation violation for possession of a controlled substance and obstruction of justice using a false ID. Again, if you have any information, please contact Calhoun County Crime Stoppers. The number is 256-238-1414. And we've got some property crimes that we'll be asking you to help us with coming up in just a few minutes. All right, we'll talk about some property crimes here in just a few minutes, and hopefully you can help us solve those. But right now we've got Dale Clem, senior pastor at Anniston First United Methodist Church, joining us. We've been talking about the special Sunday coming up at the end of July, where the chaplain from Auburn's football team and athletics program is going to be coming and speaking.
Chet Williams coming on July the 29th at 10:50, right before 11 o'clock. Mm-hmm. You're all welcome. The sanctuary, we hope, will be full.
Mm-hmm. Probably will.
Hopefully exposing some more people to what we have at Anniston First United Methodist Church, which is not just actually there downtown Anniston. We also have Camp Lee, which is a ministry of the Anniston First United Methodist Church. And John, you got recently a chance to go out there again and see the camp a little bit. And it's a great opportunity out there, isn't it?
It's a really wonderful place. And, my church, Grace Episcopal Church, is doing the Foothills Day Camp out there. So Camp Lee is used by a multitude of churches and for different functions. I even was out there for a birthday party about 15 years ago, played a pirate, hid behind it. It was great. It's a really wonderful,
That's great,
spot.
A sheriff as a pirate. That's
yeah,
great.
it was an interesting
Arr.
time. Arr, it was, yeah.
I actually have a gentleman that does some Christian ministry with kids that are getting ready to make the transition from high school to college. I narrated an audio book for him a while back. He's based down in Montgomery, Tommy McGregor, and I was talking to him the other day, and his son was up at Camp Lee last week out there. So we've got people from all over and from different churches and stuff coming in there, and the camp has really been expanding here lately and is continuing to with some plans that are being worked on right now.
That's right. Camp Lee just ministers to people from all over the country. We have groups that come mainly from the southeast, but sometimes people from outside. And it's used, groups come in and they do their own programming, but we provide the facility, plus we have one of the longest zip lines in the state there. And we have a climbing wall, we have canoeing, we have swimming, we have 2 lakes that they can go fishing in. And we just this summer have enclosed one of our screened imports to make another meeting space. So we have now 4 areas where 4 different groups can have meetings with their groups. So we can have some smaller churches. Our board made a decision a few years ago not just to host large church groups like a bunch of, that would take up the whole camp, but we want to be there for smaller churches too. So we can have 4 medium-sized or small churches with groups there at the same time. Mm-hmm. And we have a rock slide, which is a lot of fun. Kids like to go up in the woods where there's a creek going over a big rock and you slide down into the water. That's fun. The staff always has to go first to make sure there's no snakes. Take care of snakes. But Camp Lee's great. And some new things that we have going on. we're going to expand and build a chapel down at Lee Farm. So we're looking forward to that. We just from our building committee just got a new price proposal from our builder just this week. So we're really looking forward to building a chapel hopefully this fall. So next year, Foothills will get to be over at Lee Farm and have their day camp over in the chapel. We have 3 different day camps that use the Camp Lee in the summer, and that's for local kids to go there. And so that hopefully we can expand our day camp program with the addition of the chapel.
That's wonderful. That's really wonderful. And of course, if I'm not mistaken, Camp Lee was part of the Lee Brothers, which I used to work for
Lee Brass.
Lee Brass, which was
Right.
near Phelps Dodge, and then it was started by the Lee Brothers way back in 1919. And I'm not quite sure how that land ended up where it ended up, but I know that it was the Lee family that.
It was Arthur Lee who donated that land. He had this vision. He wanted it was Camp Zen. It was a Boy Scout camp, and I guess it went for sale and was available. And so Arthur Lee had this vision of starting a Christian camp for churches, so there could be Christian education. And then after that was begun, he had owned a farm next door, and he donated the farm to the church for our church to continue doing Christian education there. We've kind of joined those together now. So we have a pretty good piece of property there, over 300 acres.
An old Anniston family with a sense of community.
Absolutely. All right, well, about time to wrap this up, but we want to make sure that people remember July 29th, Anniston First United Methodist Church, Chet Williams, all you Auburn fans and anybody from that just wants to hear a good dynamic speaker, come join us at 10:50, just right before 11 o'clock on the last Sunday of July, downtown Anniston, Anniston First United Methodist Church.
You'll be very welcome.
All right. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will have the Crime Stoppers segment of the show and our Crazy Criminal of the Week on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. All right, and now we have the Crime Stoppers portion of the show. We've got one incident involving 2 vehicles here that we need your help with. Between 12:30 in the afternoon and 3:20 in the afternoon on July 9th, 2 vehicles were broken into at a business located in the 7000 block of Highway 144 in Alexandria. A window in each vehicle was broken. Numerous items were stolen. That includes 2 Coach purses, a Kate Spade wallet, 2 Apple watches, an iPad, 4 pairs of Costa sunglasses, and some currency. As always, if you have information, please contact Calhoun County Crime Stoppers, and that number is 256-238-1414.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
All right, John, our Crazy Criminal of the Week is Earl Stevens.
Earl. Nobody
I
like
have a
Earl.
picture of Earl. There's Earl
There
right
he
there.
is, old Earl.
This man was arrested for driving under the influence. Somebody called 911 to report that his car repeatedly tapped their bumper while in the McDonald's drive-through line.
Oh dear.
Yeah, and when police caught up with Mr. Stevens, there was a bottle of alcohol on Jim Beam on his passenger seat, but he said he was only drinking while the car was not moving, when he stopped for stop signs and traffic signals. That doesn't excuse you, does it?
No. Nice thought, but no.
All right. That's all the time that we have for this week. We'll be looking for you again next week, but hopefully not in the lineup on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.